Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of Sophocles' play, the Philoktetes. And I got up to the beginning of this Rhesus, this long speech of Philoktetes, and it's a very moving speech, in fact, full of pathos. And of course, it's exactly what Neoptolemos and Odysseus want, that is, for Philoktetes to agree to come with them. Little does he know that they want to take him to Troy, but he just wants to get back home again. So Neoptolemos in the last section said, well, goodbye, I'm off now, and he wishes him well, and Philoktetes now is becoming very anxious and very concerned, and he now begins to beg him to take him with him. You'll notice the cascading accents here. The set is enclitic, so it puts its accent back onto the unaccented nun. This is the short nun, not to be confused with noon with a circumflex, and that's enclitic itself, so its accent goes back onto the pros. So it's almost like a ben or indeed. So it's very hard to translate this particular nun. It's very common in Homer. So we could just say then, but not really in a temporal sense. So then, by your father and by your mother, O child. And then by, and then we don't get anything really here, but it says if there is anything pros philes dear to you at home. So in English we could paraphrase it as by anything which is dear to you at home. Hiketes hic numai, I come to you as a hiketes, a suppliant. May with the subjunctive, do not leave me thus, and monon alone. And then we get this wonderful enjambment here, almost, we'll get an eramon. It's agreeing back with the met, sort of desolate or deserted. So do not leave me alone. Deserted in these evils in which you see, understand me. So do not leave me desolate or deserted in these troubles in which these troubles with which, or the sort of, you see me. So in which you see me. And again, picking up the hosois and these troubles in which, now the X with a kuo, the X really emphasizes it. You have clearly heard me dwelling, en nio. So do not leave me thus alone, desolate in these troubles such as you have seen me in, and troubles such as you have clearly heard that I am living in. So perhaps almost these circumstances in which you have seen me dwelling might be good there for the hosoisi. Al in par ergu thu me. Thu is middle imperative from tithemi. This is idiomatic. It means secondary. Literally, it's something like in something that is beside the task. So he says, regard, that's the middle of tithemi, regard me as secondary. Now, secondary to what? Well, the primary purpose, of course, is for them to return to Skyros. So he says, regard me as sort of secondary task, secondary to your main task of returning home. Duskerea men, and then we get the debt down here balancing it. Now the editors very kindly put commas in to help us here a little bit. So I well know that on the one hand there is polle duskerea. Duskerea, something like discomfort or disgust. So I know that there is much discomfort of this burden, forema, connected with forio, vero, root. So So I will realise that there is much discomfort of having me, or literally of such a burden. So of this burden that I'm about to place on you, but homos, nevertheless, telethi, imperative from telao, endure it. Then we get this nomic statement here, and you often get the toy in these nomic statements. So for indeed, for the nobly born, for those who are noble, to iskron echthron. We've got to supply the verb to be here, of course. So that which is iskros, that which is base or disgusting, is hateful, but that which is noble, that which is good, is eukleas, well, perhaps brings renown, has a good reputation. So for that which is iskros, something like to the nobly born, that which is base is hateful, and that which is good brings renown. Now the next bit's quite tricky, and unfortunately it's the main part of this is on the beginning of the next page. So I'm going to skip across here firstly and then come back to these two lines. So at the top of this page here we have the if clause. Greek often does this. So it's ean molo ego tson pros oition chthona. Molo is from blosko. The aorist of blosko is emolon. It's a irregular verb. So it's blosko, molumai, emolon, membloka, the principal parts. So this is the aorist, and this is an aorist subjunctive. Strong aorist subjunctive. So if I go living, so if I come living perhaps to the Oitian land, to the land of Oita, so if I do that, now we're going to come back to here. For you, I'm going to jump to the next line. For you doing this, oh boy, it will be understood the greatest prize of renown. So if you do this, it will be the greatest prize of renown. And then, but ek leponti tut, this is from ek lepo, if you fail to do this, understand it will be, now Greek loves litotes, so not good means bad, it will be a bad reproach. So he says, if I come alive to the land of Oita, for you doing this, oh boy, understand it will be, well, it's something like your reputation will be greatly enhanced. I think some translators do it. So literally, it will be the greatest prize of eucleia, of renown. But if you fail to do this, for you having, as an aorist, you having failed to do this, it will be a reproach, not a good one. So it will be a bad reproach. I think that's the structure of these three lines. So he continues on, he's becoming more and more desperate here. And perhaps if we're thinking of this on stage, perhaps at this point Neoptolemos is slowly walking away, and so Philoktetes is becoming more desperate, and he has these imperatives here. So if come, so hemeras toi mokthos uholes mias, for indeed it is understood it is not a task even for a single day. Now apparently the Lemnos, the journey from Lemnos to Skyros, the distance is about 75 miles by sea, and so it's not he's right, it's not a massive task to bring him from Lemnos back to Skyros. And again, another imperative, tolmeson. Again, you can imagine on stage, Neoptolemos is sort of very slowly walking away, and Philoktetes is becoming more agitated, more desperate. Embalu me hopothelos agon, taking me along. Embalu, middle imperative. It's cast me in wherever you wish. In other words, put me on board. Embalo is a technical word to get on board a ship. So put me on board a ship wherever you like. Ace antleon, into the bilge, that is into the hold, into the bottom part of the boat where there's bilge water. It's a pretty ghastly part of the boat to be in. As proiron es promnan, into the prow, into the stern. These are the two ends of the ship. It's easy to confuse these two. They both begin with the same two letters, but I remember it as this is cognate with our word prow, so you can see the fairly close resemblance. And so this is prow, this is the stern. Hopu, where, least of all, mellow, I am about. Algunain, notice the accent, so this is a future infinitive after mellow. So generally in classical Greek, mellow takes a future infinitive. In later Greek, the rules break down a bit, but this is a future contract here, so it's a future infinitive. So where, least of all, I am about to cause grief to my fellow passengers, to my fellows, to those being present with me. Again, we get another imperative, neuson. Again, you can see him getting more desperate. This is from neuo, to nod. So it means not in agreement. So agree, my child, by Zeus, god of suppliants himself. Another imperative, pace thete, be persuaded, or perhaps obey, but it's a passive imperative. So be persuaded. Pros pitno, poetic for pipto. So I fall be at the knees. So I fall at the knees in respect of you. So we would say I fall at your knees. So internal accusative, I think here. The dative after the pros. So I fall before your knees in respect of you. Kai per own apractor hot lemo kolos. Kai plus kai per plus a participle. In Homer, by the way, you often get kai and pair, but not together. Then in later Greek, they get combined with a participle. So although wretched me, I am apractor, I am powerless, I have no control, I am powerless, and kolos, I am lame. Come, often at the beginning of a sentence, it's good to translate it as come rather than but. So come, do not leave me thus deserted, thus desolate. Choris plus the genitive, apart from, it goes with the stibu, apart from the path of men. Al, but, now we get two choices here, A there and A here. So either taking me along, save me or bring me safely into your house. So either take me along, bring me safely into your house, or understand, bring me to the stathma, the stations, so the Euboean, the stations of Euboean, of Chalcone of Euboea. Now I think this guy Chalcedon is a Euboean king. So it's something like bring me to the stations, the home really, the steadings as it used to be called, to the home of Chalcedon of Euboea. Kakathin, and from there, from Kai Ekathin, and from there, you've got to understand, the verb is down here. So it will be not a long journey or expedition, or just journey might do here, into Oita, and to the ridges, the Trachinian ridge, so the ridge of Trachis or Trachinia. So do that, or it will not be a long expedition to ton Euronon, to fair flowing Sperchion. So that, now Deixes from Deignumi, it's literally you might show me to my dear father, perhaps present me might be good here, so that you might present me to my dear father. Hon, whom indeed, now this next bit's fairly compressed, it's Palaion ex otu, really for Palaios chronos an ai ex hotu. For a long time, understand it is a long time since. And all that's compressed into Palaion ex otu. And the Dedoika I fear, you've got to take all that bit together, I think. So I have, for a long time, I have long feared. We could say I have long since feared. So whom indeed I have long since feared, and then after a verb of fearing we get may, lest bebe, this is from Bino, used in the perfect. It's one of those euphemisms for dead. In other words, he has stepped for me. So he's gone for me, that is, he is dead. So I feared lest he is departed, he is dead. So it's a perfect subjunctive. Sophocles has all the various grammatical forms of just about everything you'll find in Sophocles. So whom I have feared for a long time since, lest he is dead for me, or lest he is dead. Polygar tois igmenois. This form apparently only occurs here, but the form of it's perfectly reasonable. It's a perfect participle. It's from hic neamai. The root of it is hic, and then the kappa, which is a unvoiced guttural, before the nasal mu, it turns into a voiced guttural. So the hic becomes hig before the mu, higmenois. So it's for those, so Nepola is adverbial. So for many times, for those who have come, that is, by means of those who had come. So these are the people who visited the island before. Estellon, from stello, normally means to dispatch, but it could mean to send for someone. So, so many times, with those or by means of those who had come, I used to send, it's imperfect, I used to send for him, sending hikesios litas. Litas, not literally prayers, but perhaps requests here. So, suppliant requests. And then construction here is a little bit tricky. The inapposition with auton, we get the me and the pempsanta. Sorry, we get the pempsanta. The me is the object of exosi. So many times, by means of those who had come, I sent for him, sending suppliant prayers, for him having sent, and then the autostolon, funny word here, it means by his own expedition, so in his own ship. Him having sent it's himself with his own ship. And then we get exosi for a purpose, so as to save me, and we get this accusative just tacked on the end here, we would just say home, to save me home, to convey me home. The Shine in his commentary says about this domus, it's an accusative of a goal, and he notes it's a rare construction. So I can't say much more really. So the point about this is that so many times by means of those who have come, I have sent for him, sending suppliant requests, that he, having come in his own ship, so for him, having come in his own ship, to save me home. Oh, but, now this is a but rather than a come here, so we get two alternatives, but either tethneken, he is dead, or hos akos, well, as is reasonable, or as I guess, or perhaps, or I suppose, or as is perhaps as is likely, I think might be good for this one. So, or as is likely, I think, now tarton diakonon, literally the things of servants, perhaps here messengers. So it's in respect of the things of messengers. They, thinking, this is middle, so thinking, this is to emon, my situation in smicromere, in little part. It's very idiomatic here, they made light of, so regarding my situation as being of small account, to paraphrase this one, they made haste, from epego, they made haste on the journey homeward. Let's just do that bit again. So, but either he has died, or, as I suspect, or as is likely, I think that they, in respect of, so I think that in respect of the things of servants, so in respect of the affairs of messengers, they, making light of my situation, they hastened on their voyage home. It's a slightly more tricky passage there. Nunde, but now, we get another more, I come to you as an escort, so I come to you, that is you as an escort, and yourself the messenger. You save me, you have mercy, have pity on me. Ace horon, seeing that, or seeing how, perhaps, pantadena kapikindunos protois katai pathon menu pathon des thatera. How, now the subject here is panta, how all things lie terribly, and now this is kai epi kindunos, and dangerously for mortals, in respect of suffering well or suffering the opposite. So that's literally. So in other words, seeing how all things literally lie badly, so are full of terror and dangerously disposed, I think one translator has it, for mortals, to experience good, or to experience thatara, the opposite, the other one. This is crasis here originally for ta hetera, and gets put together as thatara, so the opposite. These long speeches often end with slightly nomic or generalized statements, and this one is no exception. It does the same. So, Cre de hectos onta pe martern tardain horan. It is necessary for you, perhaps understood, being outside of troubles. So there's need for you, since you're not in any danger or troubles, to see tardena, to see the things that are dangerous, whenever someone might live well. And Tainikauta at that time to look at the life, especially to look at life, lest he escape notice having been destroyed. That's literally what it says here. So putting that together, so it is necessary for someone who is not experiencing difficulties to watch out for tardena, calamities or terrible things, and so the kai and hotan here, crasis, and whenever someone is living well, we have to understand it is necessary again. It is necessary at that time to look carefully, to keep a close eye on his life, especially lest he might escape notice being destroyed, so he be destroyed unawares to get the lathe in. So lest he be destroyed unawares, literally lest he escape notice of himself being destroyed. And that is the end of the speech of Philoktetes. And after this, there's a choral interlude, similar to the one we had before, back at the end of the, where was it, 300, back in line 391, we had a short choral interlude, but I'll do that in the next recording.